All right, good morning, everybody. Today is Daf Yud Tes, Maseches Eruvin. We left off at the bottom. We were making statements from Rabbi Yirmiyah ben Elazar. So we had the statement. We are one, two, three. Looks like 5 lines from the bottom. So of Amar Rabbi Yirmiyah ben Elazar, Miyom Shechar Beis Hamikdash Dai Li'olam Shishamish B'Shtei Osiyos. Right, from the time the Beis Hamikdash was destroyed, it was sufficient to use the Shem Hashem with 2 letters. Shnamar, as the pasuk says, Kol Neshama Tahaluka Haluka. Right, so I guess the Yud and the Hey is Shem Hashem, so it could be used then. And V'Amar Rabbi Yirmiyah ben Elazar, another limud, Niskal Bavel Niskal Shchenaha, Niskal Shomron Nisbarchu Shchenaha. When Bavel was cursed, so its neighbors were cursed. However, when Shomron was cursed, then its neighbors were actually blessed. What's going on here? So the pasuk says v'samtiyo l'mayrish kipod v'agmi mayim. Right, it'll make, I guess, Bavel an area of water and birds, and therefore the entire area was destroyed. However, the pasuk says over there by Shomron, it says v'samti Shomron li'i hasada. So it says over there that Shomron was destroyed into a place, to a field and a vineyard. So we see that vineyard, I guess it was an area that that could be used for its for the neighbors, for the local. The Omar, top of the page, the Omar Rabbi Yirmiyah ben Elazar. We see HaKadosh Baruch Hu is not like man. If someone is chayiv misa, so they put a piece in his mouth in order that why? In order he doesn't curse the king for giving him a death sentence. However, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Adam is chayiv harigo l'makoim sheising. Person is chayiv misa, then he's quiet. Shnamar, the pasuk says, Lacha dumiya sila. Says that his silence is tehillah, is praise. V'lo elish mishabech shenamar tehillah. It says not only that, but he praises it because it says tehillah. V'lo elish shedleimelo ki'ilu makriv korban shenamar. It's like he offered a offering. It says l'cha yeshulam neder. Like he'll be placing a neder. Another person realizes that he was wrong and he was deservingly punished. And Haindar Rabbi Shimon Levi, what does the pasuk mean? Oivrei be'emek habocha ma'ayin yishisihu. So it says over there, those who go into the valley of the Bacha, right? They will be turned into a ma'ayin, into a spring, right? And the early rain, right, will be for bracha. What does that mean? So Ivrei Elu b'nei Adam sha'ivrim al tzaddik sh'Hakadosh Baruch Hu. Ivrei is referring to those people who don't pass in the valley, those people who transgressors. And Amek, and that is Amek Shemamikim again. Amek means they go down deep into Gehenna. And Habachash, what does it mean? Habachash Habaychim Maradin Demayis Kamayin Shel Shiz. And that was they cry and they have tears like the strings down. And Gam Brachas Yatamor. It says over there also they will Gabash Shematzdikin Aleis at the din. In other words, they will bless the din. They'll say yes, it was right that we were punished. The aim of the fun say Rebbeinu Shalom. Yafe Danta, Yafe Zachisa, Yafe Chiyavta, right? HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you've judged appropriately, you've judged well, right? That which you have said, you've done the schus was good, and that which he's done the chayif was also good. The Yafe Danta Gedam Rishayim Ganeil and Tzadikim. And it was good that you judged for the Rishayim Gehenim, and for the Tzadikim, they get Ganeil. So Gemara says, Eini. Is this true that people will be, even if they're chayiv, they'll still praise HaKadosh Baruch Hu? So the Rishayim, even they're the gates of Gehenna, they still are not chayz b'tshuva. Shnei says v'yatzu b'ro b'fikrei ha'nashim ha'poishim bi. Says the people go out, and those people, right? I guess they were the corpses, and hapaishim says shapashu loy nemar el hapaishim. It doesn't mean those that sinned in the past. It means they are sinning, right? They still sin up until even the point when they're at the gates of Gehenna, they still curse. Like kasha. So we see over there, they're not chayz b'tshuva. So the Gemara says no, like kasha hapashay Yisrael hapashay avaricham. One is when it comes to pashay Yisrael, they're chayz b'tshuva. However, those who are pashay avaricham, those are not. And hachinami mistavin is also logical. Say din kain. Kasha the Reish Lakish, had the Reish Lakish. You have a steer in Reish Lakish. Damar Reish Lakish says, Paisha Yisrael ain or Gehenim Shales Bam. Right? Though the sinners of Yisrael, the fires of Gehenim do not affect them. Kavachimer Mizbeach Hazav. and that's actually learned from a Kavachimer from the Mizbeach Hazav, from the golden Mizbeach. Why? So Ma Mizbeach Hazav Shein Alav Ella Ba'oive Dinar Zav. Amad Kamashani V'Loi Shelter Ba'or, just like the Mizbeach Hazav, which was basically gold plated, very thin plate of gold, and it was stood for so many years without the fire, right, ruining the gold. So Paishay Sel Shmelin Mitzvahs Karivan, but the Jewish people, they're not just plated on the outside, they're full of mitzvahs like a pomegranate. Shnamar Pasuk says, Kefelech Harimon Rakasech, right? It says over there like a pomegranate. They are Rakasech. Their temples, right? The Amr Vishon Lakish Altiki Rekasech Ella Rekasech, right? It means that you're full with Shafila Rekanim Shabacha Malay Mitzvahs Kariban. Even those who are Rekanim, the empty ones, right? They will be full of full of mitzvahs like a pomegranate. Certainly somebody who has many mitzvahs, certainly they will be, they'll be full and they'll be able to withstand the fires of Gehenna. What does it mean? Those who go into the valley and they will cry. So that's the person who's basically chai for the moment. Right there, Avram Avinu comes and he saves them. Bar Yisrael Shabalabas Avdei Kachavim Damashkar Lasav Loi Mish Mavashker Le. Except for a Jew who is with a bas of Kachavim, and the way he's with her, he basically hides the fact that he's Jewish, and he basically pulls his foreskin over, and therefore, because Avram Avinu will see a foreskin, and therefore he won't save him because he won't recognize him as a Jew. So Mask Rav Kahana, I hashda the Amarta Hapaishim the Pashiva. So now that you say Hapaishim means that they still sin. So Elamiata the Chsiv Hamaitzi V'Amala. It says over there Hakadosh Baruch Hu, who says it took us out of Mitzrayim. He says Hamaitzi, he takes us, right? Which is current, doesn't mean in the past. It's right. It's present. So Damasik Mapik, is he still taking us out? Eladosik Mapik rather means he took us up and he brought us out. So Hachanami Pashe was so too. When it says Paishim, doesn't necessarily mean that they continue to sin. Rather, it could be past tense, just like Hamaitzi taking them out of Mitzrayim was also past tense. There are three entrances into Gehenna. Echad Midbar, Echad Biyam, Echad Yushalayim. One in the Midbar on the desert, one in the sea, and one in Yushalayim. But Midbar, see what it says over there. It says over there, and all they had went into Sha'ila. We'll soon see that there's, I think, 7 names for Gehenna, and one of us is Shaul. So he says over there, by the Midbar, that over there will be Shaul. Then beyond the Chasiv, it says over there, Mi betin Shaul Shaviti Shamati Koli. It says from the stomach of Shaul, you heard my voice that was out in the Yom, and Yerushalayim, and in Yerushalayim, the pasuk says, "Nu Hashem Asher Ur Loi B'Tzion V'Son Lo Yerushalayim." It says over there, then it'll be the fires in Yerushalayim, referring to the fires of Gehenna. The Tanakh of Yishmael, Asher Ur Loi B'Tzion Zo Gehenna, and that which says refers to the fire of Tzion. That was referring to Gehenna. The Tanur of Yerushalayim is Zu Psicha Shel Gehenna, and when it says the Tanur, right, the furnace itself, right, that's the entrance of Gehenna. There's no other entrance into Gehenna. Rabbi Meron Amar Shimon Levi. And some say it was Tana Rabbi Meron B'Debei Rabbi Yechon and Zakkai. Shtei Tamaras Yesh V'Gei Ben Hanim. Right, there were 2, I guess, palm trees, right, in the valley of Ben Hinnom. The Oila Asham B'Neim, there used to be smoke coming there every day. The Zoe Shishinu Tzine Harvazel Ksheros. Right, and these are basically the palm trees. It says over there that these they would speak about these type of palm trees. You can use their branches for the lavim. The fires over there, where the smoke is coming from? The fires because that was the entrance to Gehenna. So Gemara answers no. Maybe that was the entrance of Yerushalayim. So that was like really the same thing. And Amr Shimon Levi Shiva Shema Yesh Gehenna Ve'Eluheim. There are 7 names of Gehenna. These are it: Shaol, Va'avdon, right? So Shaol, Va'avdon. And some of the words are right. In other words, they have meaning of destruction. Right, the Avdon is something which is completely destroyed. Uver Shachas, and a well of Shachas, also destruction. Ubor Shaon, and a pit of Shaon. The Tit Haven, and also Tit Haven is another name. It's Halmoves. Halmoves is another name of Gehenna. The Eretz Hachtachtichs, and the underworld. And Shaul Dechsiv, it says in the Bat Shaul Shaviti Shamati Koli. It says over there that we saw earlier from the stomach, right? You'll hear out my voice. And Avdon Dechsiv Hayisuper Bekever Chasdecha V'Mnuscha Ba'Avadon. So it says that Avdon is from over there. It says that they will they will count them from the grave, and your Chesed, right, and your Amuna from Avdon, which is Gehenna. And Ber Shachas Dechsiv Kilo Tazov Nashi L'Shaol Lo Yisiten Chasecha Liros Shachas. It says, right, he will not leave them in Shaol, and he will not allow them to see Shachas, which is referring to Gehenna. Ubarshan v'tit havin dechsiv, and the ubarshan and v'tit havin. Where is that from? It says ve'alunu mi barshan v'tit hayavin. Also, he's referring to, he took him out of Gehenna v'tzalmavis dechsiv yishvei chayshech v'tzalmavis. Those that sit in the darkness and tzalmavis. Ve'eres tachlis gemari, and that which is erech tachlis is a gemara, right? It was a limud passed down from generation to generation. Gemara says I v'sulak. What about Gehenna? Isn't Gehenna a name for Gehenna? So he says, no, it was Gehenna. Gay Shamuka Gehenna. I mean, something, a valley which is as deep as Gehenna, right? Which is Gay Hinum, right? We said earlier, the area of Hinum, the two trees of Ben Hinum. So it's like something which is deep, like Yehuno Shakol Yarei Law Alise Hinum, right? People go there for reasons of Hinum, of basically Isurim. And they go down there for reasons of Yisurim. I va'ika tafta. So what about tafta? So it says nachsiv ki aruch mesmo tafta. It says over there, and they have tafta from yesterday. That that's when Gehenna was created. Sahu shakol hamis paka b'yitzor yipol sham. Right, that anybody who basically followed the Yetzer fell over there to. He fell there, but doesn't necessarily mean that's a different name for Gehenna. Rather, it just means that it's such a person that he fell there. Tefata is referring to that he fell down there. And Gan Eden, Amravish Lakish, in Be'eretz Yisrael, who based Shan Pisco. By the way, Gan Eden, if it was in Eretz Yisrael, that would be for sure the Beis Shan and the entrance to Beis Shan. I guess because it says over there that it was like it had superior fruit. As Rashi says, they were sweeter than all the fruits in Eretz Yisrael. Vim Arabia, base Gerim Pisco. If it was in Arabia, then it'll be in base Gerim, the entrance of base Gerim. Vim Bein Hanoris is by the rivers who do Maskanim Pisco. And then do Maskanim, the entrance of the Maskanim. And Bavel, Abai Mishtakech Beperi Tamar Yamina, and Abai used to go ahead in Bavel and used to go ahead and bless the fruits in Aver Yamina. Right, from the other side, from the south, from the other side of the river, and Rav Mishtawech Beher Panya, and Rav used to go ahead and bless the river, I guess the fruits from Harpania also, because perhaps this was the entrance to Gan Hedem, and that's why these fruits were superior to the others. Fine, that was the Agadata. Now let's get back into Pasi Beiros. Right, so we mentioned that in our Mishnah we talked about the well in the middle, and there were basically there were four corners. Each one like a double posts, and you can have space in between, and you're allowed up to we said 2 sets of 3 animals, to be able to go by one another in order for them to basically drink from the well and draw water up from the well. So we say over there, 2 groups of 3, and says that they were. So the Mishnah says, if I can just find the Mishnah. Oh, that's Perek Rishon on Yud Zayin and Beis. Is the Mishnah? It says over there. It says kasharos v'lo mutaros, right? They were tied and not untied. So the Gemara says, "Pshita came the tana the kasharos haviona diadino mutaros." Once you say it's tied, it wasn't untied. So why did they say they were tied and not untied? Right? So it seems to be saying the same thing. So what just said kashuros kain kashuros maybe means like tied, but loosely, right? Not exactly about mamish lo. Kamash malon glum taros. It means no, it can't be at all. It has to be completely tight, airtight. And that we said was a space of 10 amos, as we'll soon see. And achas nichnases v'achas yotzes. In other words, enough space for 3 to go in and 3 to go out. So Tana. So we learn. It says over there. It says Rivka. Nichnaset Rivka Yotzes. It says over there in our Mishnah that one group comes in, the other group goes out. So we said it first of all has to be deep enough for the animals to be able to go ahead and drink. So kama reisha, so kama. So it says reisha v'ruba shel para shtei amos. So it's the head of Moses' body is 2 amos. So it has to be at least 2 amos from the wall, like where this pretend wall, this halachic wall is, and to the water. The kama ovi shel para, and actually, if you want to see a picture of it, you actually look at the next page, right? I mean, even though it's a picture of something else, but it just sort of gives you a little, so you can see it a little bit. So you see over there that it has to be around the water at least 2 amos in order for the animal basically to reach its head and to be able to drink out of the well. So it says over there, and ama ushni shlishi ama, right? So as we mentioned yesterday, yesterday when we did the Mishnah, so we mentioned over there that an animal is the space of basically 2 sets of 3 right animals tied together is 10, right? So 10 with 2 by 3 is 6. 10 divided by 6 is 1.6, 1.67, right? Now, so that's what we're saying over here. What is the width of the animal? 1 amma and 2/3, right? 1.67, which comes out to times 6 is 10 amos. Shahain ke'eser, that is like 10 divrei meir. That's like 10 according to Rameir. And Rabbi Yehuda Imer, and Rabbi Yehuda says no. B'shleisha esrei amma. He says no. It is 13. He says b'shleisha esrei amma u'ka'arba esrei amos. He says no. Rabbi Yehuda actually argues. He says not 2 sets of 3, rather 2 sets of 4. So if you have the same calculation, each one is 1.67, because that's not really arguable as to the size of the animal. It's just how many animals do you need. So if you add 2 more 1.67s, right, you end up with 3 or whatever, and 3 and 3, 3 point, whatever, 167, right, 32, whatever, right, 3.33, right? So the Gemara said, so therefore he says 13, not 14, which is basically 13.33. So now, okay, Esther. Why does it say like 10, right? It is 10, right? That's the exact amount. So because in the Seifa they want to say, according to the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda, it was like 13. So it's more than 13. So because they want to say like 14. So it's not 14 either. So yes, what we meant to say is that it's more than 13, less than 14, right? Which you say if each animal is 1.67, then it comes out to 13.33 amos in between. Now remember, we're talking about the space in between the edge of the board. So between my 2 thumbs, if we have the brackets and the ends, so the space between here can only be up to 10 amos according to Meir and 13.3 according to Rabbi Yehuda. More than that, you got a problem. Now the Gemara is going to explain it. Amar Papa, the bor shmona deloy kuli amalei pligi deloy binim pshutin. If we're talking about a case of where you have where the water pit is, let's say 8 amos, and then you have the 2 amos spread out there. So, and the 2 amos space, and only 1 amos taken up by the wall. So basically, the 2 walls are 10 amos away from one another. Everyone agrees you don't need anything in between, because 10 amos is not in violation of the walls of Pasi B'irois. However, in the case of a Bor Shtei Misrei, if it were talking about the water pit was 12 and add on 2 more on each side, which is a total of basically 16, but one of those are walls, so you have 14 over there. So in other words, you have 12 plus the 1 on either side. So it's a total of 14 amos there. To and everyone agrees that since the 14 is too big, you need to go ahead and put boards in the middle to break up the 14 amos space, right? Put basically a flat board, all right, in the middle. So keep you wanted to argue b'shmona ad shtei between 8 and 12. The Meir being according to Meir, you have to go ahead and add because it's more than 10. And the Rabbi Yehuda according to Rabbi Yehuda, you don't need to add anything because it's less than 13.33 amos. I've Rav Papa, my Kamashma Antonina. So Rav Papa, this is exactly the brisa. You didn't teach us a chiddush there, right? Rabbi Yehuda says up until, actually, Meir says up until 10. Rabbi Yehuda says 13.33. So Rav Papa brisa leishmile in the Kamashma and the brisa. No, he never learned this brisa, and therefore he was teaching us the same limud of the brisa. Fine. So boy mine. So I skipped the what's it called, the hints, right? The simonim. So. Boy mine Abaye may Rabba. So now Abaye is going to ask a bunch of questions from Rabba. First one is like this: Hey Rich bedim yumin kashir pshutin. Now we talked about a case. Let's say it was too far from one another, so we said, okay, you have to go ahead and put a board in the middle. Now Let's say instead of putting a board in the middle, you just, instead of the walls at the end being 1 amma, you just add to the walls. So now the walls, instead of, let's say they were 15 amos away from one another. So instead of putting something in the middle, just make the one of the walls 4 amos longer, and therefore you only have a space of 10 or less, right? Can you do that? So our mayor mahu, what's a look under mayor? So Tanisua, it says ubavad sheyarbe b'pasin. It says as long as, we said in our Mishnah, you want to go ahead and increase the size. You can increase the size as long as you increase it with boards, i.e., just put boards in the middle. So it's sheyarbe b'pasin. In other words, you increase the boards. In other words, make the boards in the corners longer. So obviously, you see that making the boards longer is okay. So my lav demarch b'diyum, isn't that talking about a case of where we're lengthening these corner posts? Corner says no. No, maybe it means that you increase the boards, meaning you add boards in the middle to make sure there is no gap more than 10 amos. Wait, so why did it say then you should increase the boards, right? Add to the boards, right? Ad sheyarbe pasin. It should be you should increase the amount of boards. It should have said, right? It shouldn't have said you should increase the boards, because you increase the boards sounds like you're adding to the boards, right? But it should have said, right, until you add boards. In other words, more boards, i.e., in the middle. So Tani ad sheyarbe pasin. Okay, fine. So that's the case. Then it must have written the special the lashon should be until you increase boards, i.e., only put in the middle and not in the end. So it's not a proof. And Ikadam reads a different version. Amar Le, so he says Tanisua ubavad sheyarve b'pasin. So it says over there in the condition that you go ahead and increase the boards, i.e., make the boards of the corner longer. So umay lav the mafish v'avid b'shutim. So isn't we're talking about a case that maybe he makes that if he wants to go ahead and increase it was only referring to when he basically adding more boards, and that's how you extend the area. Brandon says, no, it doesn't mean that they put boards in the middle. Rather, it means that they lengthen the boards at the end. And it says over there, on the condition that they add to the boards, then that's how you basically decrease the space in the middle. It's not by adding boards in the middle, but the Mishnah means to mean that you increase the walls on the sides, make them longer than just 1 amma, make it 2, 3, 4 ammas, whatever you need, in order to make sure you don't have a 10 ammas gap in between. That was question number 1. Now, let's say it's more than 13 and a third. According to Rabbi Yehuda, right? What's the halacha there? Shutin avid or bedumin marich, right? Well, same thing. Are we talking about a case of where you go ahead and you add pshutin, where you add single boards, or are we talking about a case of dumin marich, or do you basically lengthen the ends? So I'm late. Tani it says there kamahein mekuravin kadei roishav ruba shapara. So how close can it be? In order, it has to be closer. In order that basically, if they're too close, then there's no room for the animal to go ahead and drink. It has to have enough space for the animal, for its head and most of its body, which we said is 2 amos. And how far can they be from one another? So he said over there, afilu kur v'afilu kuraim. It has to be a base kur, or even kuraim, very larger amount. And Rabbi Yehuda, no, base asayim mutter, yaisim base asayim aser. Only a base asayim, only an area that takes an area of a base saw. 2 base saw is mutter, but more than 2 base saw is aser. And a base saw we discussed is the 50 by 100, right? Which we'll soon see, importantly, is basically 70 2/3 by 70 2/3. You multiply that and you get 5,000, right? 70.67, which is a karfef, right? Anyway, so Amrlo Rabbi Yehuda said, what do you mean? Why are you limiting it to only this 5,000 square feet? You can have even 5 core, 10 core, a field, a yard, or some other area. So Shemuter, Summer Lands, the answer to them, Zoy Mechitza Velu Pasin. 2 different things. When it comes to you have mechitzas, if you have actual walls and the people are using that area for living, that can be as large as you want. However, when we talk about pasi bi'iros, when we talk about a special leniency when it comes to this water, then we're only talking about boards. When we're talking about boards with these special walls that we're makel about, then we change up the rules, right? We say it can only be up to a base saw, or a base saw, right? 2 base saw. Now, v'imisa, if you want to say over here that according to Rabbi Yehuda, the question was, okay, can you extend the walls? Now, if you extend the walls, where if the side is 50 and if the side is 70 and 2/3, okay? So in order for the gap to be 10, right? So 70 and 2/3, I just call it 70, just, for math's sake. So each side, right, is a gap. Each side would be basically 30, right? So so if you're talking about a case of gap, or actually 13 and 30 would be a little less, it'd be around 28 and a half. So if that's the case, so if you have your pasi biros, right, and the corner walls, because we're talking about a gap of a little more than 13 and a third, so basically your walls would be 28 amos, a gap of 13, and then 28 amos, which is a mechitza. It's not a board, right? So you see over here, according to Rabbi Yehuda, how can he say zo mechitza ve'elo pasin? It should be zo mechitza ve'zo mechitza, right? If we're talking about a large area of pasibiros, where it's basically the max size, which could be up to 70 and 2/3 by 70 and 2/3, so you have a majority wall. You don't have boards, right? So it should be. So why are you saying it's not comparable? It is zo mechitza ve'zo mechitza. So no, one is the halacha of mechitza, and the rule over there is 10. The elu, but when it comes to pasibira, is that the elu taras pasim aleim b'ritzasem b'shlesh amushlish. No, but the other one is a halacha of boards, and that is even larger for an extension of 13 and a third. Now, next question. Boy minei abai miraba tal hamislaket asara mitoch arba. Nido mishum diumad or ena mishum diumad. Now, let's say you have one of the corners. You said you make boards. Let's say in one of the corners you don't have a board, but you have like a mound of dirt, right? And a mound of dirt that it's sloped up to the point that it goes up. Asara mitoch arba. It goes up. It's 10 tefachim high, right? Within 4 amos long. So it's at least 10 tall by 4 amos. In other words, the elevation, the slope is it's high enough, right? It's sloped enough, because if it's goes up 10 tefachim, but over over 10 amos, then you can't really feel the slope. But if it's something which is sloped up and it's in the corner, it's sort of recognizable that it's now enclosing this well. So can we just call that one of the can that be in place of these corner walls or not? Will also be learned. If you have, let's say, a square stone, if you basically have the square stone and you look at the two sides of this, of the square, right, and each one is at least an amma. If it's an amma by amma, then you could say it's considered to be this diumad, this corner piece, right? This post in the corner. And if it's not one by one, then it's no good. And Rabbi Shmuel ben Osha even if it's round, if you go ahead and you have it rounded and you can carve out of a square in the circle, and then that square is 1 amma by 1 amma. Basically, it's 2 steps. Then it's considered to be a corner post. But if not, it's not considered a corner post. So Gemara says, what's the machlokas here? So we say over here, so machlokas, one says, okay, you can take a square and say and take the 2 sides of the existing square, and each one is amma is good. The other one says, no, even more than that. You can pretend a circle and then make it a square, and then if it's a square, then you make it as if one side is an amma and the other side is amma, then it's okay. So no, it would be the same machlokas as to basically a mound of dirt would basically be the same machlokas as a round cylinder, right? Is that considered not? As long as the mound is enough that you can square out and have a bracket there by the corner 1 by 1, it should be good. The one says, one says you can only do 1, not 2. In other words, it has to be existing square, and only then make sure it's 1 amma by 1 amma. And the other one says no, right? Even if it's a circular, then you can say it's also first circle, then it's like a square, and then you look at the square tray. If the square is 1 by 1, then it's also good. So, what about, let's say you have chitzas hakanim? Let's say you have basically a sheet of reeds that are together. So kana pachas b'shlosh, and each reed basically is close within 3 tefachim one another. So nidam shum diumad. Can that be your post in the corner? Is that considered to be? It's not a board, right? It's only a bunch of reeds next to one another. Some relate. Tanisu learn in the brisa. Hayasham ilan. If there was a tree in the corner, o gadar, or a fence in the corner, o chitzas hakanim, or basically a group of reeds. So nida mishum diuma, it's considered diuma. So my love kana pachas is not referring to a group of reeds, meaning that you have reeds which are basically within 3 tefachim one another in order to make 2 sides, right? To make it a corner post. So lo, Gudrisa, it means like a big bush of reeds. So Yihachi Hainu Ilan, that's the same thing as a tree. Why is that any different? So Elamai, what are you gonna say? Kana Kana Pachas Mishloshe. What are you gonna say? It means that it's basically it's reeds standing up within 3 tefachim one another, right? Hainu Gedr, isn't that a fence, right? So Elamai Sachalameimar. Trey gavne gather hachanami trey gavne ilan. So what are you gonna say? Okay, no, it's 2 type of fences. One is a strong wooden fence, and the other one is a reed fence. So too, you can say the same thing with trees, and therefore it's not a proof. And Igadami finally, and some just have a different version of the same conversation. So the kasha was Gudrisa Dekani Boile. He was asking him. He didn't ask him about basically reeds that stood together one by one next to each other within 3 tefachim. Rather, he had basically a bush of reeds is in one of the corners, right? So Gedursa Dekani Mai, can this bush of reeds be considered to be your corner post? So I'm related. Tanisua, we taught. It says Hayasham Gedro Ilan or Chitzas Akanim, if you had a fence, a tree, or Chitzas Akanim, or it basically this a mechitza of reeds. So neither Mashum Diyumad. So my love Gudrisa Dekani. What does it mean when it says over there Chitzas Akanim? Is that referring to basically like a bush of reeds? It says lo kana pachas nishlasha. Maybe it means over there. When the kanim are close with one another. So Yihaki Hainu Gedder is not the same thing as a fence. So Elamai, what are you going to say? Gudrisa the Kani, you can say what? Hainu it's like a bush. Hainu Elon, that's a tree. Elamai is Kalamemer, what are you going to say? Trey Gavne Elon, there's 2 types of trees. Hakanami, Trey Gavne Gedder. So too, either you can say 2 types of trees or 2 types of bushes, but either way, we can say that whichever one you want to say the kanim, the kanim would be a good as to be the corner post. Shkoyach, everybody. Everyone have a wonderful day, and Sunday morning, Mirza Shem, we'll see you everybody at 7 o'clock. Be well. Have a good Shabbos. Bye-bye.
Have a good day, everyone.